Hey, Eastview, welcome. It's Friday. Jason Sniff, good to be with you today. My head's a little bit cold. Actually, now I'm just having a bad hair day, so that's why I got my hat on. But I hope so far this day is going well for you. Before I get into our verse today, I just want to forecast that on Sunday, Zach Thompson is going to be preaching in the Big House. And you may remember Zach, he's our high school pastor, and we're looking forward to the word that he's going to bring today that's going to help us in our Hope series. But for right now, I'm going to be reading out of 1 John 1. And I encourage you to read verses 1 through 4. I'm just going to read the fourth verse. It says this, John is writing this, and we are writing these things so that our hope and joy may be complete. We're writing these things so that our hope and joy may be complete. This summer, in June, I'm going to get to celebrate my 22nd year being married to my wife, Nicole. And about 23 years ago now, we began writing letters to one another. There's this amazing God story that I don't have time to share today. Hopefully someday I'll get to share that with you. But like it used to be, and some times ago when people got to know one another, they would write letters. And that's what my wife and I did before we were engaged, is we wrote letters to one another. And we love to go back to those. Sometimes we'll read those letters. But whenever we think about that part of our story, it just recalls to our mind, it helps us remember the joy and the hope that we felt back then. And it does something for us in the present when we're thinking through that. There's something about writing down your history that helps you both understand it and maybe gives you insight for the future. And that's kind of what I want to focus on for here, because John, he's writing things down to remember what Jesus has done for him and for Christ's followers all across the world. For us today, maybe the take home is that when we record what Jesus has done, we both remember our history with him, but then we might be reminded of hope that was lost, or hope that maybe we forgot about. And as I was listening to Tommy this Sunday, just about false hope, I just know this. We just put our hope in so many different things that are failing. Maybe it's a person, maybe it's a family thing, maybe it's an organization, maybe it's something that you've just invested a ton of money and time in. But a lot of those things are going to fail us one way or the other. But when we look at Jesus, he's not going to fail us. And maybe it's good for our soul to remember what Jesus has done in our lives. John knew this full well. That's why he's writing this. In these verses, he's saying, look, I've heard this, I've seen this, I'm going to proclaim this, and I'm going to write it down so that others will know the joy and hope that comes from a relationship with Jesus. It reminds me of Psalm 9:1, which says this, I will give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart. I will recount all of your wonderful deeds. That recounting will help us remember what our true hope is, what our true joy, and that in the moments in the past, we can be reminded of that so that it helps spur us in this moment and in the moments that you're about to have even today. And so that's my challenge for us. Would you take a couple of moments before you get into the rest of your day? Would you write down one or two things that you remember about how Jesus has spurred you on in your journey? Maybe you could say it this way, like, what's one or two ways you remember experiencing Jesus? And just write that down. And then I just encourage you to pray and ask the Lord to reveal something to you about that. And then if you're so bold, would you share that story, one of those stories, with somebody around you today? I think you will find that written expression of hope will remind you of some truth today. Let it be so. Thanks so much. Have a great day.